The dura mater is the tough outermost membrane enveloping the brain and spinal cord. The Felix cerebri is a large crescent-shaped fold of mandible layer of the dura mater that descends vertically in the longitudinal fissure between the cerebral hemisphere of the human brain. Tetrum cerebri is an extension of the dura mater that separates the cerebrum from the inferior portion of the occipital lobes. Anechoid matter is an anechoid layer that is attached to the inside of the dura that surrounds the brain and spinal cord. The pia mater is to protect the central nervous system by containing cerebrum fluid, which cushions the brain and spine. The brainstem controls the flow of the messages between the brain and the rest of the body. It also controls the basic body functions such as breathing, swallowing, the heart rate, blood pressure, consciousness, and whether one way is awake or asleep. The cerebrum receives information from the sensory systems, the spinal cord, and the other parts of the brain, and then regulates motor. Cerebrum hemisphere. One half of the cerebrum, the part of the brain that controls the muscle functions and also controls speech, thought, emotions, reading, writing, and learning. The gyri, the bumps that can be seen on the surface of the brain. The folding created by the sulci increases the amount of cerebral cortex that can fit in the skull. Sulci is the grooves, and gyri is the folds of the ridges that make up the folded surface of the cerebral cortex. Longitudinal fissure is a deep groove that separates the two hemispheres of the vertebral brain. The transverse fissure, the middle longitude, is visible in red, running to top to bottom. I don't know if mine has it. No, I don't think so. I don't see it. The frontal lobe are involved in motor function, problem solving, memory, language, judgment, impulsive control, and social behavior. Parental lobes can be divided into two functional regions. One involves sensation and precipitation, and the other is concerned with integrating sensory input, primarily with the visual system. The occipital lobe is a visual processing center of the mammalian brain, containing most of the anatomical region of the visual cortex. Temporal lobe involves the primary auditory perception such as hearing and holds the primary auditory cortex. Corpus callosum is to integrate motor sensory contact performances between the cerebral cortex on one side of the brain to the same region on the other side of the brain. The olfactory bulb structure located in the forebrain of the vertebrates that receives neural input about the odors detected by the cells in the nasal cavity. The olfactory tract is a bundle of nerve fibers from the mitral tuft cells. That would be right there. The optic nerve transfers visual information from the retina to the vision centers of the brain. Optic chiasm connects the brain to the eyes. The optic tract relays the information from the optic chiasm. The mammillary body, the projections of the anterior thalamus via the myothalamic tract, are important for retrieving memory. Infundibulum, small funnel-like stalk that connects the pituitary to the brain, and is the passage which pituitary hormones are delivered deeper parts of the brain. Pituitary gland is a pea-sized structure located at the base of the brain, just below the hypothalamus, which activate the via nerve fibers. The brain stem, such as breathing, swallowing, heart rate, blood pressure, and whether is awake or asleep. The midbrain is the motor movement, particularly movements of the eye, auditory, and vision processing. The pons serve as a message station between the several areas of the brain. The medulla oblongata helps regulate breathing and heart blood vessels. The trigeminal nerves to provide tactile efforts to the face and mouth. Abducens nerves, which controls the movement of the lateral rectus muscle in the human's responsible outward gaze. The pineal body produces melatonin, which helps maintain circadian rhythm, regulate reproductive hormones. The superior collici, integrating center of the eye, moves the inferior collici auditory pathway and receives input from several peripheral brainstem nuclei in the auditory pathway. The midbrain, the motor movement, particularly movements of the eye and the auditory visual process. Operative vitae, it brings sensory and motor information to and from the cerebrum. The cerebral aqueduct connects the third ventricle of the diaphragm to the fourth ventricle within the region of fourth ventricle. Help from the central canal runs through the length of the spinal cord. The thalamus, such as relying on the sensory signals, including motor signals, to the cerebral cortex, the regulating conscious sleep and awareness. The corpus callosum integrate motor sensory and the conductive performances between the cerebral cortex on one side of the brain and the same region on the other side of the brain. Septum pellucidum is a thin, triangular, vertical double membrane separating the anterior horns, left and the right left ventricles of the brain. Pharynx carries some of the favorite fibers to the hippocampus from the structures of the diaphragm of basal forebrain. Lateral ventricle structures within the brain contain the cerebral fluid, a clear watery fluid that provides cushioning for the brain while also helping to circulate nutrition's removed waste. Gray matter includes regions of the brain involved in muscle control, sensory perception, such as seeing, hearing, memory, emotion, speech, decision-making, and self-control. The white matter of the brain to each other carry nerve impulses between the neurons. Third ventricles is a narrow cavity that is located between the two halves of the brain.